welcome to Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, episode 52. Alright, so we have managed to start off the Professional League, and officially we are now going to continue with the International B-License events in the Professional League, as of which we are now doing the Boxer Spirit. And officially, as for what car I am going to use, well, I've thought about which car I'm going to use for this event, and well, it's not going to be a roof, considering obviously they will be in this event. But the car I am going to use is this, the Impreza 22B. Why? Because I want to. Also because I dare to maintain the coolness. So yeah, I'm going to use this thing. I'm going to use the 22B. Because I have the money to purchase it. And now is the time for us to do some tuning. And we can fit a semi-racing suspension to this thing, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Also going to put on sport brakes, because I would imagine that's also going to be a thing. And because this thing is a turbo, obviously this will also be important. And sure, why not? Let's put on the racing intercooler. And now we can just put on some engine tuning. So, racing exhaust, because that's important, and I'm also going to put on the racing chip with the port polish. Methinks. Yeah, I'll go with the port polish. And now, all I need to do now is get some racing tyres. And well, just because I want to challenge myself, I'm gonna put on the racing slicks, but also I'm gonna purchase the super slicks just in case. And also, let's do stage 1 of weight reduction. And hopefully that should be about all we need to do. Although it will depend on how far off the pace I am. Anyways, heading back to the Professional League, and let's get on with event number 2. The Professional Boxer Spirit. Experience the feel of the horizontally opposed engine. So another 3-race event, as of which we are going to Deep Forest Reverse, Rome and Super Speedway, and where I'm probably predicting I will need a racing transmission. And these are the cars eligible for entering the event. Mostly Subarus, and 15 grand if we can win each of these races. And so let's head over to race 1, and hopefully speed will not be a problem, even though I'm anticipating it probably will be. So in this field we have an Impreza sedan, a Legacy, a Roof CTR2 along with an RGT, and at the back we have a 3400S, as I anticipated there would be. Anyways, just gonna take off the driver aids because I don't need them, and hopefully I should have enough to win this race. Here's to hoping speed will not be a problem, even though I anticipate it probably will. If this thing has a low top speed. It has the acceleration, but it doesn't have the speed, I don't think. Well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see, because I'm pretty certain speed could very well be a problem. Although, in saying that, I am now moving up into the first position, and we ran 3 wide through that corner. And as I anticipated, there goes the RGT. Although, it doesn't look like speed is going to be too much of a problem, I don't think, because officially this is not particularly a high-speed course, and since I would imagine pit stops will probably be the order of the day, we will just have to wait and see how this unfolds. Even though at the moment I am not doing very well, because officially I am now down to second position, and as I expected, the RGT is already building up an advantage. But obviously, I had a feeling this would happen in the early stages. Although, it doesn't look like Deep Forest is going to be too much of a problem regarding speed, because obviously, Deep Forest is more of a cornering type of course. It's not really based on speed all that much. But the only thing I'm really hoping for is that I will not be too far off the pace here at Deep Forest. Considering obviously I did of course make the commitment to go with the 22B for this event because I wanted to. And where I should have put on the Super Slicks. But again, I chose the Racing Slick tyres because I wanted to challenge myself and maybe see if there was the possibility of a win, but at the moment it doesn't look like it. Even though at the moment I'm definitely pushing hard with this thing. As of which we are now beginning the third lap here at Deep Forest, and at the moment the RGT is not really pulling away by too much at the present time, even though obviously I'm pretty certain it's the 3400S that has basically been left in the fucking dust at this present time. Considering obviously Roof is basically Porsche's luxury brand, methinks. Oh fuck me. I'm clearly not concentrating. Okay, and I do not know who is all the way at the back. Probably one of the Imprezas, but I don't think it's the one that's all the way back there. Well, guess I'm just gonna have to wait for a pit stop and hope that obviously that is what will officially get me over to the win. Even though at the moment that is not the way it's looking. Okay. All I really have to do now is just try to settle down and see if I can maybe win this, even though I just exceeded the limits of the first corner. And obviously, if there was a penalty system in this game, then I'm pretty certain that would put me behind this pack that is just behind me. But obviously, I chose the 22B because I chose to challenge myself, basically. That's pretty much all I really chose to do. Is a win going to happen? Probably not. But am I still going to try and see if I can go for the win anyways? Yes. Because if there is even the remotest of chances of me winning this race, then obviously I will certainly take any chance I can get. But obviously, because Deep Forest is not particularly hard on tyres, I would honestly think a win in this race is probably less than likely, or probably less than possible. I guess I'm just going to have to wait for a pit stop, considering obviously it has been tyre longevity that has managed to win me pretty much every professional league race so far. Even though I'm pretty certain this one will definitely not do it. But I'm still risking it anyway because that's primarily what I want to do. 7.5 seconds. I think it is fair to say that I will definitely need some more tuning on this thing. If the RGT doesn't stop, pretty certain that's the only shot I really have. Well, that as well as switching over to the super slicks up to this point. But again, I'm really having to push this thing just to keep up with the roof, and at the moment he is just steadily pulling away. So it is definitely going to be a pit stop that will probably decide the outcome of this one. Dependent on knowing if he will actually do it or not, that remains unaccounted. Methinks. Anyways, 6 laps are done, and we still have 4 to go. As this time it is now the impreza that pits. And I can now say the field up to this point is pretty much evenly split. So, starting to slowly reduce that gap. But again, I would imagine tyre wear is probably going to be a problem for me as well, because I've noticed some wear on the left side tyres, and I would imagine that by the time I do win this race, I probably will have switched over to the super slicks. And I just jinxed myself, because the RGT has pretty much answered my questions in saying that he is just saying to me, fuck you are not going to catch me. I think is basically what his response is. So, I think I've pretty much managed to accept that I'm not going to win this race on pure pace. And I'm also pretty certain that I'm now going to be a victim towards tyre degradation, and I should not have shifted down into 4th. I think that's only just pretty much made the wounds of a defeat even more agonizing. Again, I am definitely willing to commit myself to this thing. If there is even the remotest of chances of me winning this race, then I will pretty much take any chance I can get, because that's what I do. And if I do manage to win this race eventually, I will be probably more than astonished. Anyways, 2 laps to go, and it doesn't look like the roof is going to pit in. I don't think. Why do I keep cutting that first corner? I know I'm not meant to be doing it, but I'm still doing it anyway. Okay. I think it's fair to say that I am definitely not going to win this race on my first attempt. I think I might as well accept that. I might as well accept that unless he pits on the final lap, then officially I am probably not going to win this. I think I might as well accept that. Because the gap is now 9 seconds. And even though I am running a comfortable second position, I'm pretty certain that unless I have more tuning on this thing, I'm not going to beat the RGT, and, well, doesn't matter, he's in the pits. It does not matter anymore, he has come in to change his tyres right before the final lap, and that has effectively handed the race win over to me, even though he is now coming out of the pits again. And I really cannot afford to bottle this if I'm going to win this race. Which, oddly enough, is one thing I did not expect to happen. But it looks as though it is officially going to be a possible race win. From when I almost thought for sure I was not going to be in contention for the win. Considering I too, of course, am racing on worn tyres, and I'm pretty certain that I will probably need a racing transmission for Super Speedway, because obviously my speed will be down. I'm sure speed will be a problem. But effectively, in spite of me being down on power compared to the RGT, and as of which he is now rapidly closing in, officially, it looks as though I am going to win at Deep Forest Reverse. From when I almost thought for sure the odds were against me, I managed to tackle the perseverance, and somehow, in the end, I emerged victorious by 6.6 seconds. And, oh okay, it was the Blitzen all the way at the back. Anyways, let's now wait for the rest of the field to finish this race. Okay, he has finished. So in the end, as a result of the penultimate lap pit stop for the RGT, I won by 6.6 seconds. Then it was the Roof 3400S in third, followed by the CTR2. Then it was the Impreza Sedan in fifth, and then at the back it was the Legacy. And officially, I am going to save this replay. Probably because this race was the most decisive, methinks. Yeah, okay. Just had to make sure I knew which segment this was. But there we go. 1 race down, and still 2 to go. Let's now head over to Rome, and see how terrible this goes. Considering I'm pretty certain I will probably lose if the RGT is in this race, and indeed he is. So pretty much the same field again, and all I can really do now is just be hopeful of a pit stop. And hope that speed does not become too much of a problem, even though I'm certain it probably will. and at the moment I am proving to be just a wee bit off the pace in comparison to the sedan, as of which I've not been able to make my manoeuvre for third position yet, and that is exactly what I do. I now move up into third position. We're in Rome, as we now have just the CTR2 and the RGT to contend with. As of which I'm pretty certain both of these are meant to be comparable to Porsche 911 turbos, methinks. And the CTR2 was sliding. There was a little bit of a fender banging there going on down the backstretch, but I did manage to conquer the adversity, and I now move up into second position. And all I have to do now is hope for the RGT to stop him, and I'm pretty certain he will not. Oh fuck. I should have also stepped on the brakes, because I should have known I was going to slide. Right before the Colosseum. At the moment, I am only pretty much less than 3 seconds behind the RGT, and I think I just jinxed myself because he put the foot down. Oh okay, it's only 2 seconds. I might be able to close that up before the end of this race, as long as my tyres don't... As long as my tyres don't wear down too quickly and I don't keep bouncing up and down on the curbs like I did just there. Anyways, 2 laps are down and we still have eight laps to go. Can I manage to overtake the RGT before the end of this race? Probably not, but am I going to try it anyway? Absolutely. Because if there is even the remotest of possibilities of me winning this race, then that is exactly what I will do. Considering obviously I'm basically relying on luck to help me win this race like I did previously. Even though I'm quite certain I'm probably not going to risk it for super speedway. And it now looks as though I am probably going to end up finishing behind the RGT in this race unless I do some watching work. Because it doesn't look like I'm going to win this race, I don't think. I'm basically just here to race and basically hold on for dear life that he is going to pit. It's basically hoping and praying that he pits. And if he doesn't, then it won't surprise me. Although I did manage to take the lead in the previous race following the RGT pitting, although I don't think I'm going to get lucky this time. But somehow, he's not pulling away as much as I thought he was going to be. Because, oddly enough, this has actually been a pretty closely contested race by professional league standards. Especially considering how rubber banding is nowhere near as strong in the professional league. I mean, the gap is only 3 seconds, so you know, I might as well risk it, and obviously, you know, if I win, I win, if I lose, I lose. Because I'm able to keep up. Tribulation to the next. So the RGT at the moment is definitely not extending his interval by too much. I'm managing to keep myself in contention for this race win. But again, I'm pretty certain he will not pit in this race because obviously Rome, from what I can tell, is not as hard on tyres, but again, at the present time, I can at least say that I'm managing to hold my end of the stick against the RGT, even then of course if it might be just part of a candlestick. But again, there is a chance in saying I can win this, because he is not pulling away by too much. But I don't think I'm going to get past him. But again, if there is any shot of victory whatsoever, then I will definitely try and see if I can take it. Anyways, meanwhile, gap is now 2.4 seconds to the RGT, so I'm slowly closing in on the RGT, and there is the possibility for me to say that there is the possibility of me winning this race, although realistically I probably don't stand a chance because he has a much faster car than I do. Oh shit, I bounced off the curbs. Okay, I think that's pretty much kept me out of a shot for the win, methinks. Anyways, the sedan now pits. And officially, the gap has not increased by too much in this race. I'm still managing to keep up with the RGT in certain parts of the circuit, whereas the rest of the field at the moment has pretty much stabilised. But again, this is quite a titanic scrap going on for the lead at the moment, as of which the Legacy is now in the pits, and doesn't look like we're going to overlap him, I don't think. And Nuki is just coming out of the pits now, so I think I can pretty much take those thoughts off my mind. Anyways, we have just 3 laps to go now. The gap is shrinking, pretty much lap by lap. I'm closing in pretty much every lap on the RGT. So victory is not completely out of the question. And there could very well be the possibility of me proving that. Here today, so I'm definitely closing in, so I'm going to estimate he must have worn down his tyres during this stint. I did not think I was going to be in contention for the win this late in the going. But officially I am still in contention, and the gap is now pretty much been sliced down to less than a second. Regardless of my low top speed, and it looks as though a possibility of maybe overtaking the RGT is in the possibility box, and I got a big jump there from that inside curb. Because the rear end was literally airborne as I went across the curbs. But officially, I'm now down the inside of the RGT, and I now take the lead away. Probably because he is on worn tyres. And both of us are coming up onto the Legacy, presumably to overlap him. I managed to do so successfully. Before the corner, the RGT is still behind the Legacy at the moment, so the Legacy is not willing to go that lap down, but officially he has to concede the position because he is the clear back marker, and the RGT is now approaching me. He is right on my ass as we head down the back stretch. I still managed to hold on to the lead, and it will definitely shock me if I do manage to win this race, because this race has been one hell of a nail biter. Anyways, final lap, and the RGT, as I expected, he is right on my ass. And, oh fuck. I hit the guardrail. And doesn't look like he's going to make any manoeuvres for the lead. So, I think his tyres up to this point must be shredded. And that's probably the only reason why I closed in to eventually taking the lead. And if I can just manage to avoid fucking this lap, then I should be able to go onwards to victory number 2 for Subaru. So he's closing in again, but I would imagine he's worn down his tyres too much, and obviously that's the main reason why I took the lead, and he has now slid into the outside wall, and I think that has pretty much just gifted me the win. And so, surprisingly, I'm going to make this 2 out of 3 to the 22B, as of which I won in the end by 1.6 seconds. That was literally a haptic final 3 laps of that race. I did not think I was going to win. Anyways, the Legacy has now crossed the line, and officially we now have to wait for the rest of the field to get across the finish line, so let's do that. Alright, there we go. Everyone has officially managed to finish, and it took him less than a minute. So, I won this event by 1.6 seconds, surprisingly, over the RGT, after he must have had worn tyres, I suspect. Then, in the third position, it was once again the 3400S, in other words the Boxster. Then it was the Impreza sedan, which finished in 4th, ahead of the CTR2, and then at the back it was once again the Legacy. That was one hell of a finish, and I honestly did not think I would emerge the victor. But anyways, let's move on to the final race, and where officially, I would imagine this is where tuning is needed. But yeah, let's head over to the egg-shaped oval, where this is a 20-lap race. And let's just get on with this, and hope of course that tyre wear does not come. Considering I've been running these races on the slick tyres and not the super slick tyres. Although, I'm pretty certain speed will probably be a problem. Because I would imagine if I am going to win this race, I would think speed probably is going to be an issue, considering how this is mostly comprised of 2 high-speed straights. And as you can see there, I've just hit my left limiter. I think I'm going to have to rely on the errors of these AI to help me win this race. And my right side tyres at the moment are already looking like they're going to be shot. Although, as for my left side tyres at the moment, I'm actually not feeling as much. But again, this thing has a low top speed, and obviously, I would imagine this is probably going to keep happening pretty much throughout the entirety of this event, so obviously my chances of a win here at Super Speedway, unless these AI keep making the mistakes that they're making at the moment, seems pretty minimal. Judging by what I've seen so far. But officially, they do have rev limiters for a reason. And ultimately, we are now onto lap number 4 here at Super Speedway, and where I am just managing to hold on to the lead by a threshold, by a very minuscule threshold over the RGT, who clearly has the more superior car for this track in comparison to the previous two, because obviously I think I've just been getting lucky with the other 2 events that I won. Although, it doesn't look like speed is going to be too much of a problem at the present time. I think it's more on the concern of tyres, and it will also depend on knowing if I have the tyres I need to essentially win this race. Because at the moment, that is not proving to be the case. But, at the very least, I can definitely say I am managing to go around this track a lot smoother than the AI are, because they keep running the high line, and essentially, because they have to keep dropping down to the bottom, that's effectively what's keeping me in the lead. And I think I just jinxed myself because I hit the outside wall. not entirely sure on knowing if this is going to be victory, but at the moment, if these AI keep making the mistakes they're making, then I would imagine a victory will probably almost certainly be on the cards. Even though obviously I'm driving a much slower car in terms of straight line speed in comparison to the AI. That's basically all I can really say. Anyways, we are now onto lap 7, and officially, yes, we are only 4 minutes into this race, and already we are nearly halfway, as of which I would imagine it's probably going to be over 5 minutes by the time we get to the halfway point. Possibly 5.5 minutes, methinks. It's only really the mistakes of this AI that are managing to keep me up in the lead, because I'm able to take these corners at a much more consistent rate of knots than these AI are, and that's the only reason why I've managed to stay ahead of the AI for so long up to this point in the race, and already, as I expected, the legacy is in the pits. So this is very much a two-horse race from what I can calculate. As already the Legacy B4 has now made his first pit stop, and that will effectively mean that by the end of this race we will have overlapped him twice. And possibly also the same for the impreza as well. Both of them will pretty much be 2 laps behind. And I still don't know why I'm nodding myself here, but whatever. It is what it is, I guess, is my only real response. And I would imagine by the time this race is over, my tyres are probably going to be completely shot, because I'm running on slick tyres and not super slick tyres. So I suppose the racing slick tyre gamble in comparison to the super slicks has managed to pay off twice before, but I'm still not sure on knowing if it's going to pay off a third time. But again, this has pretty much solidified there will certainly be pit stops from the leaders. Meanwhile, my strategy is to try and see if I can stay out and hopefully not burn up my outside tyres. I'm still running this off. And officially the roof is now in the pits, and I think it's fair to say up to this point that even if I do make a pit stop, there is the possibility of me saying that I might win this. But again, as for overlapping the entire field, I think that's probably out of the question. But all I can really do is try my hardest to stay out for as long as I can. And also furthermore, slipstreaming in this game still proving to be as powerful as ever. My right side tyres are close to being shot up to this point, as of which my right front tyre is pretty much shot by now. So I think I might have to stop him. I think that is probably the gamble I'm going to have to take. I'm going to have to stop him. And if this gamble does not pay off, then obviously I'll I'll just switch over to the super slicks, and then that way I'll be pretty much guaranteed the win. But obviously my right front tyre is literally dead, so I need to pit if I'm going to win this. As of which, I would imagine a pit stop is not going to be too long, considering pretty much the entire racetrack is pretty much a pit lane. And officially, yeah, don't mind what just happened. And officially, I am now coming out, and it looks like I will officially re-emerge as the leader, as of which the RGT has now crossed the line, and I'm pretty certain he will not beat me out of the pits, and so I think it's pretty much a certainty, to say the least, that even with a pit stop, I am pretty much guaranteed the win. But officially, I needed to get off those other tyres, because I knew for sure I was not going to go the distance with the way those right side tyres were being battered. But officially, we are now pretty much, I would say, 3/4 of the way there. My right side tyres are almost certainly going to be close to shredded by the time we get to the end of this race, and officially the 2-horse race continues, even though I have a huge disadvantage in terms of top speed. As I suspected, my right side tyres are definitely taking in most of the damage. So apparent as it might be, this car, I would say, is pretty much going to be more or less guaranteed for the win, because of the way these AI just keep sliding through the corners. In other words, literally drifting from the high line down to the low line. Effectively, that's basically what has been allowing me to stay out in the lead for pretty much so long in this race. Even though this is still a pretty close race. Because all of them have basically been decided on tyres, even though obviously I was pretty sure I would not win at Deep Forest, but oddly enough in the end I did. And the same can also be said in Rome, but obviously, because the RGT's tyres literally went off in the dying laps, that was effectively how I managed to take the lead. And so, I also set a new PB. And so, we now have just 3 laps to go here at Super Speedway, as I now overlap the CTR2, who is sliding down to the low line as I anticipated he would. And officially, we now have just 2 laps to go. Here at Super Speedway. So here we go. Pretty much a 2-second interval now to the RGT, but obviously the overcut definitely managed to pay off during the pit stops, as of which I did of course make a pit stop. And officially I have now overlapped the sedan in this race twice. So, as we now head onwards to our 20th and final lap here at Super Speedway. 1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. We are officially going to head onwards to what will probably be the victory lap. Officially, the professional boxer spirit is a clean sweep. And it took me just less than 15 minutes to complete 20 laps around this circuit. And as I anticipated, it was a very close race as well. And officially, the Impreza sedan has now just crossed the line, and so let's now wait for the rest of the field to finish. Alright, everyone has officially finished, and both myself and the RGT have pretty much overlapped the rest of the field. So, the 3400S and the CTR2 both one lap behind myself and the RGT, and then it was the sedan and the Legacy who were both 2 laps down. And just to be certain, yep, I have saved a replay. And let's now get on with the prize car. And so, the prize car we win from this event is... we win the Roof RGT. Pretty much our main contender throughout this event. But yeah, that's our prize car. Officially. And this is pretty much the perfect way for me to start off the professional league, because our first 2 events are clean sweeps. And next time we shall be doing the race of NA Sports. So, at the conclusion of that, we are now 45% complete with the game, and officially, this is our prize car. The RUF RGT, or Roof RGT as many of you would call it. So yeah, this thing actually looks pretty nice in what I think is pale yellow or something. I honestly don't know what colour this is in, but whatever. It's a cool car, and it's basically a Porsche 911 Turbo. Okay, anyways, I'm done. So that was the professional Boxer Spirit, and next time we shall be doing the professional race of NA Sports. And so with that, stay tuned for more of Gran Turismo 3.